Yeah, I wanted to have a chance to talk to you, Ryan, and you can't. And look, quite frankly, as soon as the ethics meeting started, I was like, this is not the right place for that. Yeah,
That's
for
fair.
political
Absolutely. I threw it
conversation.
out there about you running for mayor so that people were aware, but it was definitely an unorthodox meeting.
Yeah, that and like if everyone's like kind of enjoying themselves, like I would not, if I was in that position, want to hear some political ramblings, you know?
Fair enough, fair enough. The normal meetings are very much more orthodox. We just go through hours and things. So if you want to come to the next one, you are more than welcome.
I would love that. I think it'd be fantastic. I think in advance of that, I kind of want to, Ryan, kind of give you like a little bit of my thoughts on things. First and foremost, I think that ethics meeting, you know, I said it jokingly, but it was kind of tongue in cheek in that, like, I feel like there's a kind of energy that I saw here that's just missing throughout the city. And I think capturing that energy is so important. Now, obviously, you're not gonna. I don't expect the cops are gonna just start, you know, fucking and having that kind of thing. But
I'm sure they already do behind closed doors.
I mean, everyone thinks
They
Barrett's
might.
fucking Andy every day instead of working, so they got a little bit of it.
Well, well, really?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. He's off in the
Jesus
fucking mountains
Christ.
with Andy Jones.
Well, you know, you can't blame anyone for that. I don't see anything
No,
wrong with
absolutely.
it. I mean,
She's very attractive.
you know, there's no calls. They pull over, you know, to the side of the road. I mean, it is what it is. Like, who's the judge, you know?
Yeah, fair enough. You know, that's a good point.
As long as it's not calling out bad
you know?
dispatch calls, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, at the hospital, we're extremely close with each other to the point where we're all just kind of, you know, fucking with each other at a certain point.
We're lucky
do
to have
think
great
that-
people too.
Absolutely. I love every single person that works here, and a lot of factions don't really have that. So they could benefit from something like it.
I agree. I think like camaraderie being like a big one, right? Regardless of if it's like exchanging juices or just like conversation. You know,
I think a big part of it is in our interviews we stress, you know, vibes a lot more than we do any previous medical knowledge, because that can all be taught. But finding somebody that can fit in,
you know,
that can replicate that kind of energy is more important to it.
You remind me of someone that I know that had a very similar philosophy, but I don't really see him around too much. Look,
okay.
Yeah. So is Ryan like pretty? Is this a pretty sure thing, or is this like?
So at this point, we're not going to discourage anyone from running. However, Ryan is the highest rank here out of the people who will run. He's an attending alongside me. He's someone who has built a strong rapport with doctors as well as the EMS. Other than the, you know, constantly sleeping with people and getting himself stabbed occasionally.
That doesn't hurt
someone
sometimes.
That I know that all of the
Brian
command and
Knight.
high command of the hospital would trust. So I think that he's the most
Hell
likely
yeah.
person to get this position.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah, no, he's solid. I would trust him with just about anything.
Well, Ryan, if you want to chat at any point with I think Canter being there would be very valuable for the conversation.
Absolutely.
Kind of go over what I'm looking to bring to the table, and I think kind of beyond just the mayor's office. So whether it be now or later, it's kind of really up to you, to be honest. What works best?
To Canter, if she's got time now. I mean,
I'm free. Yeah. I'm in no
Okay.
rush. I'm slightly bit
I just came
but
up
I'm
here to
good.
check if you
What's
were
up,
okay,
Joanna?
Ryan.
I'm gonna deal with all that after this.
Perfect.
You're repressing everything? All right.
Yep.
Call me, okay?
All right.
Okay, thank you, Joanna.
Pretty good at
There's a lovely
repressing.
All
member
of you
our
call
SOC
me.
team. Okay.
So I put my hat into the ring, sort of as a consequence of being unable to do my job as a lawyer. I just wanted to do cell rep work, and I very quickly came to realize that the police department is not legislatively mandated to provide FOIAs, which means that unless I go to the docket, I don't actually know what happened to my client. And as it turns out, every single lawyer that I've spoken to has had this issue and has tried to push it up. And between Moulton's absence and Murphy's indifference to his seat, it has led to an environment where civilians, quite simply, have not been able to get the defense that they desire, and why a lot of them civilians are just ending up as felons. In fact, I'm aware of 2 cases that y'all have dealt with. One being Dr. Bashar, and the second being, I just represented him yesterday. Crim something.
Oh, Crimbo.
Crimbo.
Oh
yeah.
He's now facing felonies. Surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly enough, he's actually left inside the cells for 30 minutes while he was drowning in his own piss. And instead of providing him a immediate medical and my cause for it, I was screamed out of there more of as a reaction to the embarrassment and the fear of what may transpire, as opposed to the care for said individual. And that's sort of the impression I've been getting from not just existing members of the council, but also elements within the both the DOJ and the police department. Now, I'm going to expand on this. I started to bring up this FOIA problem, and this has kind of been the heart of it. I've probably said FOIA 1,000 times in the past, 2 weeks. I tried to go through the proper channels. I tried to speak to the officers, see if there was a middle ground, simultaneously start working on legislation, which would be provided to the council, which could then be voted in, ratified, etc. But instead of cooperation, I was met with resistance and what can be best described as hate. In fact, the police department, I've got cops on my side, were telling me that they're openly shit-talking me simply because I asked for paperwork. And it's unfortunate, and I want to eliminate that energy. The way that I've done this thus far is I managed to compel Crane, just by having these conversations, from making his way into the city. And subsequently, the FOIA legislation is now in place. People are now protected. There's an actual legislative wall I can lean on.
It's good. I'm glad to hear it.
But the corruption goes even deeper. Turns out that entire thing was plagiarized. I spent 3 hours being berated by the man, only to find out another judge has written it, and he had just written it in his own words. And I know because I got both copies. Now, why these things are happening, I'm not sure. But the inherent nature of it, I think, falls into 3 realms. One is the irresponsibility and lack of care towards the citizens of Los Santos and the protection of their rights, which can only be done by the law, right? If we don't have law, then there's chaos. If law is not clear, then you have confusion leading to some of the things that I've been dealing with alongside other judges, and in turn, hatred by the populace towards those like the police department who are simply attempting their best, I think, to enact those laws, right? Arrest people and whatever. With my platform, I want to bring transparency, first and foremost. Every piece of legislation gets publicized. Some of that's being done, but I don't think it's being done good enough. I got a marketing guy who's going to be sending out what legislation's changing in a TikTok fashion, bullet points. So right there, boom, you know what's coming down the line, what day it's getting voted on. And then subsequently, when the votes transpire, it will be publicized in the same form as to who voted for and who voted against. So it's not some mysterious document somewhere in La La Land, right?
No, I'm a big fan of that, yeah.
Yeah,
keep it accessible.
Yeah.
The second...
Even when we pass things, a lot of people don't fucking know what's going on,
yeah.
So it's something that would be very helpful.
It's got to be... And there's been a lot of well, there could be something coming down the line and da-da-da-da-da, and people don't know this, and da-da-da. No, I mean, the reality is we live in Los Santos. People got TikTok brains, so why not TikTok it? You know what I mean?
True. Agreed, absolutely. Down the line means jack shit. People care about what's happening now.
Yes, absolutely. And then, with this transparency now, all of a sudden there's accountability that comes right to the top. The information's out there. If people are not happy, they know who they should be not happy about. And then that's when change happens. For example, if Canter were, I'm sure you guys, I mean, clearly this problem doesn't happen here since you communicate very so well. But let's say there was disarray in the hospital, and let's say Canter voted against something that would help the hospital, and that communication wasn't there. I mean, how do you know whether, you know, if you weren't in a group, if this was in place, you can go to Canter and be like, hey, why'd you vote against that? No, that doesn't help us.
To be honest, yeah, I could have absolutely done everything to fuck over the hospital, and I don't think anyone here would have known unless I told them, which is kind of fucked.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's such a simple solution, but and it's quite frankly, the PD didn't even know what they were supposed to do. Crane had a different mentality. Whatever. I believe in making things clear, transparent, etc. And that's going to be a big part of my platform, and that includes the ability for a no confidence vote as long as certain merits are hit. So if the city is not happy with somebody, let them remove it. If the hospital is not happy with their with, you know, who they put in place, let them replace them.
Okay, so it's like the same vote as what put them there. So it's
like a recall vote.
Yes.
Okay, now, I like that actually. Honestly, we ran into that with Solomon where we didn't really know how to remove him. We were all unhappy with him, and he wasn't showing up and wasn't communicating with him. We just didn't know
codified
what we could do about it.
Yeah.
So that would actually be very helpful.
I love what you just said there. Codified process. Why can't that be written? Now, the question might come into play that, well, there's not enough time, right? But I very much disagree. I think, you know, with my mayorship, I want to run things like a business. I've got my a copywriter and marketing guy that I'm going to be working with later today, who is going to be having is going to be helping me put up my site that has all my talking points that you can go into detail into, right? He's also going to be managing the social media aspects of things so that can transition to the console when appropriate. I've got then comes the second thing, the Department of Commerce, which I want to kick off, led by Eve Summers, who's already accepted the position. A department that is focused on helping people get approved or not approved for their business licenses. I don't think a singular individual should be saying accept or deny based on whatever the fuck they want to do, but rather this department consisting of individuals with similar passion to Eve, like Ash Ketchup, for example, folks around the clock, who are there to help make sure that someone can succeed and then give an acceptance and reason and a denial and reason and a form of recourse that can be publicly available to anybody to audit. And then when it hits my desk, it's already got ready to go, right? Instead of, do I like Canter? You know what? She's kind of cool. Canter, you got a notebook with photos? Or you don't? Sorry, denied, right? How would you know? How would you know if you want to open the flower shop? You know what I'm saying? Like what the denial reason was. The third thing is the lawyers are bleeding, and some of them I've convinced to try to make their way back. For example, Samantha Morningstar. A lot of them are discouraged. I want to bring that excitement back and give them purpose, and that purpose is going to be through legislative writing. I want even like the hospital, right? You want something pushed through. Why can't you have a lawyer that helps you get that legislation going, so when it hits the desk of the console, it becomes a 15 to 30 minute conversation with something that's pretty much completed, or like I don't know, like take any other group in the city, the G6 guys saying like, hey, we have this huge issue, we're gonna go to one of these lawyers and they can help write it up and then peer review it with this board of like, let's just call it the board of lawyers or whatever this institute gets called, that can assist in making sure it's in a healthy spot, is peer reviewed. So now there's all of a sudden a system in place where the console transforms not as a self-serving, this is not including you, of course, Canter, a self-serving mess of a echo chamber that is primarily focused on doing things that are good by them, but not good by the people. I think the government should fear the people, not the other way around. And that's going to require a lot of exercising of what exists in order to change things like this business law. The fuck is this bullshit?
Yeah.
Government owns your business. That stifles. I want less no's and more yeses.
Okay.
So
I like that, honestly. You're not wrong. We should be encouraging people to do the shit. We talked about it a bit, but we should be rewarding them for it, for doing the right way, not just punishing them for not.
Yeah.
It's also sounds like a lot of this is just communication, which I feel like the government is lacking a lot, and something we work very hard on at the hospital.
Absolutely.
A lot of it, I believe, is intentional and not by the entirety of the board, but individuals on the board. And it is to the point where I think I can articulate that it is very intentional. It's by design.
I don't disagree. I think that Max specifically communicated with the people exactly what he wanted to communicate and left the rest in the dark. He was very intentional about that.
Yeah, I think that's just not the way, you know? Like, I think someone who wants to know how things are, like, I want to run a business, they should be able to go and see what the business legislation is and be excited, like, oh, this is what I got to do, right? And this is, like, you know, the restrictions or whatever. And I want to get a business proposal because it's going to give me more. Not, oh, shit, if I don't hit these marks, the FBI is going to bust through my door and take all my shit away.
No, I can agree. I think, you know, people just trying to prove that they deserve a business by doing something shouldn't be fucked into the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. We should offer them rewards for doing it the right way.
Those are kind of the three platform points: the transparency, the Bar Association, and the Department of Commerce. I've got other ideas too. Like, I've been pushing for changes in gun laws. In fact, it's being rewritten right now, which is going to make 3 pieces that I've got my fingers on out of the 20 that have been passed. So,
which thing in relation to the gun laws?
Right now, the criminal negligence of a firearm, the way the process currently works is if a gun is found to be not reported, stolen, but not because someone hasn't reported it, but because it has not been documented, there is indefinite, beyond 30-day warrants that are being placed. And so I am pushing towards effectively a registry where an individual who has lost their gun can, via affidavit, file that missing report. It would act as an affidavit, and it would be noted in a database that would be accessible by the police department, the judges, and lawyers that request it. And so no longer is someone spending 40 minutes going through reports. It's boom, boom. Is it there? Did they report it to her? When, where, when, what? Right? Sure. And what's their statement surrounding it? And what that generates is the police can look at the incoming. They can go and follow up if they so desire. While at the same time, it's protecting civilians from becoming criminals. Like, I managed to get rid of one of these. So the reason why it's indefinite, this goes deep, is this is my huge disagreement with Crane. He calls warrants internal documents, which I think is just him being lazy and not thinking through the logical steps of what that means legislatively, because an internal document implies it only belongs to the police department and it's just note-taking, right? But the problem with that is that warrant is showing up at the courthouse. That warrant is resulting in their weapons license going away, which means inherently that implies that the police department and the government are illegally seizing a weapons license without due process. What the fuck is that?
Sure, okay.
So, and then because it's internal, there's a belief that these warrants can be indefinite, which means that you, even if the crime took place on the 20th of May, on June 21st, that warrant is still active. So right now, Bailey's working on it. He's getting a lot of opinions from it, and hopefully that turns into something significantly more, like, palpable, you know, to the everyday person.
Okay.
That may also extend into preventing gun licenses and G6 employment from being removed from non-violent felons. Because I don't think a G6 driver that's racing through the city, losing their gun, which they probably receive so they don't get, you know, kidnapped at gunpoint to defend themselves, should be hurt by that.
Okay.
But yeah, So
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I'd have to see the actual final piece of legislation before I, spoke my mind on it.
Absolutely.
But
I
agree with the idea.
Yeah.
My God, he's a politician. I'm so proud.
Yeah, look at that.
I'm so proud. Look at that.
And in regards to the hospital, Canter, you mentioned to me that there's like employment issues, right? So
that is our biggest issue, is just staffing consistently. You saw a lot of people today, and a lot of things like this is the, camaraderie and friendship that we've built is what brings people here. A lot of the just standing around waiting for patients is just never going to be it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
However, I've been pretty transparent about this, that I'm trying to build something that will encourage people to do more than just stand around in the ER waiting for patients. I put in business proposals for 2 different businesses, including a mortuary and a pharmaceutical company, that I will hire on doctors to work with, to give them more to do. I essentially want to create a little medical empire here. Not so much to put me in charge, but to make sure that the doctors have shit to do. In the past, you've had things like Beta Life, who create Oxy and just sell them to their fucking fellow criminals, or That's Life, who had jack shit to do with us. And in fact, we had to pay them just to dispose of bodies. Instead, I think that we should be giving our doctors chances to do things other than just stand here waiting.
I love that.
That is my plan. Yeah, absolutely.
And I've spoken to Eve in regards to that conversation, and we're both in agreement that things like that need to be prioritized in a Department of Commerce sort of environment, because like you said, standing around all day is not healthy. Doesn't keep the mind ticking.
Absolutely, yeah. It's rough. I won't be honest. I won't lie to you. That's why I advocate for higher pay so often. Because it's genuinely hard to just fucking stand here waiting. My doctors don't really have the chance to go anywhere else. I mean, we can't, right? We have to be ready for the patients. So.
There's one pet project of mine is I'd love to see the psych department up and going. It might be because I wanted to be a psychologist, like 6.
Yeah.
Oh.
Rough timing.
Yep.
I hate to interrupt, but I thought you might want to know your husband got shot and someone died.
Who?
By Reed. And he's a little angry that you were up here while he got shot.
How the fuck was I meant to know that?
I don't know.
Tell Reed that I am going to put a bullet in his fucking head if I see him, okay?
Oh, he is gone. There's tons of cops here.
Perfect. I'll tell him myself.
Okay.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, you didn't hear me say that.
No, you're good. I don't. Well, it's funny you say. I actually want to pass a law called the. Oh fuck! What the hell does it stand for? I'm gonna have to think on this. Do you know Moose Knuckles is no longer a lawyer?
I actually did hear that. I don't know what happened, but yes.
He was in the middle of a shooting without a gun. Cops surrounded, did nothing to save his own life. I want to call it the necessary violence law.
Let me pick this up real quick. This is the board of directors. Yes, Nino?
Yeah, the SIG dropped.
Okay. I won't make God cry or Jesus frown. That's crazy. Okay, have a good night, Janetti. I hope you feel better. Bye. That's crazy. Okay, the necessary violence act. Yeah.
Yeah. Because what happened, and he's not the only one, where he's in the middle of this massive shooting. He's not involved. He's there. He can't just leave.
Sure.
The police have now surrounded it. They're not actionably doing anything. In order to save his own life, he grabs a gun off of downed individual and is shot down. He's GSI negative. The individual whom had the gun was taken from does not have a gun in his possession, is GSI positive, has said that it was his gun that he was firing, and Moose Knuckles is hit with all the charges.
That's wrong.
And in my mind, it is beyond the scope of. It's well within the. It is common sense that you're gonna, not just die. You're gonna do what you can to preserve your own well-being, and I think this is sort of outlines a circle that a lot of civilians are seeing occur to them. And that kind of goes hand in hand with this whole, like, nonviolent felons should not be losing their gun licenses. Because honestly, it's a dangerous road, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we used to not fire people for being a nonviolent felon here at the hospital.
That's good.
That is one of the many things that Max extorted our pay over to make sure that...
no, what? That's what he did it over?
He lowered our pay to $250 the moment I was reelected because he thought I was fully against him, which, hey, you know, at the time I was not. And then essentially extorted me saying that if I did not admit to committing voter fraud, that he would never raise it, which is a felony, which would have me ineligible to sit on the council. He then changed his negotiations to we are required to fire anyone who is inactive after 21 days, which I think is just too high of a burden in the city.
Well, he shouldn't have a say in that. You are and should have been the expert, and those at the table should not be acting as the expert, but rather as the here is our opinion, right? But not. That's.
No, I don't disagree at all.
Yeah.
I had to negotiate with him on those 2 points just to get our pay up to 1,000, which still, in the grand scheme of the city, is not a lot.
It's only 1,000 right now.
That it's only 1,000. He would happily say that he's okay with the PD earning 3.5K, quote unquote, token earn 9K an hour. However, he thought that most.
On day one, doctors will be the highest paying job in Los Santos.
God fucking bless you.
Yeah. No, I mean it's common sense. Doctors should be paid the most.
I don't disagree, honestly.
Hell, that was awkward.
Well, I will say, I will vouch for it. I think EMS should be paid the most. They have expenses that we do not have.
Yes.
We are technically separate. A lot of people don't know that. EMS and doctors are separate. We have one representative.
Yeah.
However, I will always support them. I think they should technically earn more. However, you know, I would hope that we would be up there as well.
Yeah, no, they, I just got done letting her know that doctors, day one, doctors are going to be the highest paying job in the city. I didn't realize you're only making 1,000. That is ridiculous. I make $750 for what it's worth.
Yeah, it's better than that was. Yeah.
No, absolutely. We made the. I will, you know, to clue you in on things. We legislated a minimum wage for government workers at $7.50 an hour. To be very clear here, Crane does not believe the government workers should earn much at all. So you will be fighting a battle on that one.
I'm aiming to get rid of Crane. I've been very adamant about that.
I don't have any particular opinion there,
so,
but I'll just opinions on it at least in case you can.
I mean, I will say that I generally resonate with the. I will say this much. I agree with the baseline presumption that government workers who are clocked in 24/7 make an inherent, consistent amount of money, right?
Right. And like lawyers and stuff that are just around ready for things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as a consequence of that, a cop that is earning $4,000 an hour is making significantly more than someone who may make $5,000 an hour when they are working, right?
Right.
So there's also, and so that whole aspect of things, I'm trying to find the right person to do a actual economic assessment of every job and function in the city. I can do it myself. I have a good visualization as to how that can be done. It's just I'm gonna need some assistance on it, but
I'm a bit of a spreadsheet nerd if you ever need help.
Really?
Glenn has also been looking into things a lot.
She loves spreadsheets.
Yes, I created our entire hours tracking and finance tracking and sign-offs track. I do all that shit.
Okay. Well, maybe you could help me with this in the interim. Is there? Okay. Well, that actually brings me to the next point. Legislatively, I can request the state accounts and other pay and stuff, but the legislation doesn't say how I acquire it. Do you know who I speak to for that?
To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. My assumption would be either Crane or Max Soul Crane.
Okay.
I know that Glenn at least has access to the state account. I don't know if they can actually pull any sort of like exported data.
See, what I would love to see is monthly like reports. Like, you know, in other cities, there's like quarterly reports. Imagine a monthly one with breakdowns of like, here's where the money went, right? Because even like what is the pay right now is not reflective of where the expenditure went.
No, absolutely. I was talking with Glenn a lot about finances yesterday, and I've been on the city council since the fucking start of it, and I did not know half the shit he was telling me. He was telling me, you know, he can just look up a fucking name and see how much money they've earned the state account and things, which was absolutely fucking.
That is really good.
Me. Honestly, talking to him made me think I should fucking go for treasurer at some point because I love that shit. I would love to put that all into a fucking spreadsheet and actually see it plotted out and see the averages. But yeah, no one's done that yet. I would absolutely love that if that were an option.
I think there's a lot that can be done that's been just sitting on the sideline, and I think when the city starts to meet my team, I haven't officially began running. I much rather talk to groups and folks before putting it out there, because then you get like this bozo that's one that is expecting a 1 hour conversation for a singular vote. I don't have time for that, right?
Oh yeah, no, fuck that.
There's a lot I want to do, and I know a lot of it's possible, and it's a lot easier than I think a lot of people realize it to be.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
yeah, I mean, I'm working with pretty much nothing here. I had very little to go off of and built everything from scratch, and I'm constantly working to improve the tracking that I have. To be honest, the amount that I've done for this hospital, I think, cannot be overstated.
I've seen it. I mean, I think this meeting in and of itself was illustrative of that.
I hate feeling like I've got an ego on that, but you know, it is something where I sympathize with. There's probably a lot more that can be done that isn't being. If someone is willing to put in the time and effort to actually put it all down and put it in some sort of spreadsheet or something, maybe some sort of graph here, that would go a long way.
And I think that's kind of where this like Department of Commerce can really push off, because it's kind of like, you know, a development center, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe those resources are there and people know that those resources can be made available.
Okay.
Ryan,
that's amazing.
The thing you missed while you were kind of taking a quick little
sorry about that.
No, you're good. I want to do what I can to improve the quality of life of doctors down here, increase pay. That includes with EMS. How I deal with the repairs and stuff, it's to be seen. I almost rather do like rebates. Like, why I don't like there's got to be a better way to do it, so we're not adjusting payments based on, you know, because even with the cops, like the cop who's out on patrol is paying more out of pocket than the cop that stands around, and so I think there's some
the same amount for sure.
Other
I
avenues.
Disagree. I know that again, to clue you in on the information that I know.
Yep.
Early on, I was informed by Eda that it was something the government was not interested in doing, was reimbursing for repairs. However, you know.
Do you know at what level that was? Was that at a council level? Was that at a federal level?
That was not at a council level. That was a discussion beyond us.
Okay.
However, a lot of things have changed since then, so it's not impossible. It's definitely worth pushing. I always think that would have been a better plan.
1,000%. And there may be some other like for example, right? Like I would love to see like a Parks and Rec. There's a lot of other things like I'd like to do, but I'm trying to.
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec is just such a great idea, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, we need more fucking events. In fact, if you haven't talked to Glenn, I think that'd be a really good idea.
Okay.
I think he might run for treasurer again, since he didn't get a full shot at it this term. A lot of what he's trying to do with the treasurer role right now is try to figure out legislation that he can do to essentially encourage people to use the state money. He is.
I like that.
He has all these like crazy ideas where he's trying to figure out things that he can pay for, such as maybe, you know, a small budget to pay janitors at the hospital or something, or things like give literal trophies to people who've put enough money into the state account, things like that.
He's already love that.
Encourage people to use finances instead of just looking at it, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's in that. It sounds like he's in line with my thinking here. Like, there isn't a reason why you don't chunk off a change and say, here you go, G6, we need you to do this thing. Like, you know, or, you know, there's so much we can do, honestly.
100%. He had an idea to offer the highest paid Group 6 worker, essentially call them up and say, hey, if you go buy a like $1 million car right now, I'll give you 20K from the state account.
See, that's not the move. I wouldn't agree with that, but what I would agree with is people with a G6 license, authorize them to function as a security element, you know?
Yeah,
on a contractual basis.
That's actually something that my husband cooked up, some sort of legislation that never got ironed out. And to be frank, we all got shot, so that never really went anywhere.
Yeah, but see, and that's the beauty of the lawyers, right? Because
of course,
why wait on the table when there can be people actively working on it on the behalf of it?
No, that's fair enough. I know the big thing is encouraging the PD to spend money. Right now, I was told the highest paid member of PD over the last month earned about $900K, which is
$1
million out of the state account that has not been given back. So we need to find ways to drain their fucking money.
Oh my, yeah, but see,
also,
this is...
they do not need to get paid 3.5K.
No, it's insane. It's the police department is the last one that you ever should ever be paying on a paycheck basis, because now the problem is you can't drain them.
Yeah.
It's not actually possible, because the thing is,
got so much money, you know. Yeah.
It's gonna be the handful of office
to them that are like $1 million plus, but like
no
one's buying them. I mean, no one's buying them.
See, the problem then becomes because some got paid a lot, you're now punishing them across the board to deplete it back out, which is beyond unreasonable.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that too. Yeah, it creates such an imbalance that's really hard to fucking fix. And we're already here for some reason, so hey.
Well,
I don't know how we fix that now.
The Ryan, the bit that you may have missed is I want to get that psych department up and going. I'd like to see, you know, obviously quality of life here improving would need to come first. Or maybe that could go alongside it, but then I'd love to see Sandy operational, and I'd love to see independent.
Yeah, we've all been trying to make that
medical.
Yeah, I've created, I was actually working, well, I say working with, I was asked by Norman Adams and Judge Angel to cook up the legislation for how psych evaluations actually work as a process. Pixie, I have asked her to do it, and she never has, so I'm writing it up myself, and I'm going to be pushing that at the next meeting. As for Sandy, the issue we just run into, like I mentioned, is staffing, right? We need to make sure that this place is covered, because this is where everyone is brought when they're hurt. But if I can make sure that we have enough staff here, I would happily move up to Sandy as well for a couple people.
That would be great. And what are your thoughts on independent, like your most senior doctors being able to operate out of a independent practice? Look, I'm just gonna cut to the chase here. I don't like cops arresting people at the hospital as a means of an easy arrest.
Oh, me
there needs to be an alternative, and it doesn't need to be grandma.
I've told this story a couple times, but I once texted Rami and warned him not to come to the hospital for visitation because the cops were fucking hiding in an IC room bathroom to arrest him for a warrant. I don't fucking put up with that shit.
That's like the PD should be sued for that. Like, you know, it's
disagree.
Like imagine scaring patients and putting everyone's lives at risk for an arrest. It's the same energy I got in the cells when I was watching that doctor dying, is that this guy had was getting triggered because I'm concerned for my dying client as they're just staring at him. Like it's I don't know what's happening.
something that I've worked to. Hell yeah, you're not wrong.
Maybe they do. Yeah, spread some pheromones in there.
Something that I've worked very hard to do with the power that I've gained in this position is to protect everyone who comes into the hospital. People have suggested things like someone tried to push for 911ing anytime a violent crime, might have been committed. Say someone came in with a stab wound or a gunshot, we have to 911. I was the loudest voice saying, I'm not fucking doing that. I want people to feel safe coming here. I will protect anyone regardless of what they have done. The only thing I give a shit about is if you walk into the ER and fucking shoot a doctor. If you have not done that, then it is not my fucking business.
Yeah, I agree.
Here.
Yeah.
No, I completely understand. So we are limited in our position. Obviously, this is the only place that people have to go to currently. However, I'm trying to protect everyone who can come here. I would love, however, if we had enough staff to work up in Sandy. Currently, the process is that the rank that myself and Ryan are can approve for people to work up there if there are enough staff. It's rare that that occurs currently, but we are always hiring. So I would
outside of meeting days, we don't normally have the surplus to staff it up there.
This is the busiest we are.
Yeah, and this is there's a lot of good energy I think going around right now, and I'm very hopeful for the future. I'm not going to be going down the route of like throwing my opponents under the bus. I think, what I've been able to do so far, the people I surround myself with, and I think practical ideas I want to put forward, I think is enough to encourage people to, get behind me is the way I'm going about it.
I respect that a lot. Absolutely.
Yo, Lee, thank you for the 10 months.
Standing for yourself and what you believe in is more important than all else. I'm fucking sick of politicians who are just there to shut each other down.
1,000%.
Ergo,
except the existing
lowering our pay because of me.
I will shit talk the existing council members as there's enough dirt there that honestly I well, look, I have very strong opinions as to what should happen to them, to be honest.
Hey, that's fair enough. Look, I am someone who has made the decision to continue working with everyone on the council, whether I've disagreed with them.
Yeah.
However, I've been one of the loudest voices in disagreement at certain points because someone fucking needs to fight that shit. And there's been a lot of things before that are just absolutely fucking awful. So, good.
1,000%.
That's great to hear.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. And as for the meeting, for the greater, the staff meeting or whatever, you want to just let me know when that is.
Absolutely. It will be the exact same time, 2 hours after storm on Saturday.
Oh, fantastic.
Every week,
much
same
more
time.
normal. So
hell yeah. All
it
right.
probably won't last as long either, so maybe half an hour show up.
All right. I appreciate y'all.
All right.
I'll take care.
Good talking to you, Nino. Have a good one.